Hi, this is your host Swapnil Bhartiya and welcome to another episode of Mainframe Matters. We are here at Open Mainframe Summit in Philadelphia and today we have two guests, Alex Kim, Open Source Incubator Advocate at IBM and also lead of ZEBRA, and Len Santa-lucia, CTO at Vicom Infinity and Chair of the Open Mainframe Project Governing Board. Len, Alex, it's great to have you both on the show.
Great to meet you.
Thank you. And today's topic is ZEBRA. So first of all, tell us a bit about the project because you are the lead of the project.
Right. Sure. Thank you. The ZEBRA stands for Zowe Embedded Browser for RMF and APIs. So it is an open source project, an incubation project under Zowe by Open Mainframe Project, and we are helping customers, users to use mainframe data in any format that come up from JSON format data, so that they can plug into any open source, other open source projects.
What was the pain point that you saw which led to the creation of the project?
In mainframe space, there's data called RMF and also SMF. It's a system data that traditionally helps clients and users of mainframe to understand how mainframe is working, health of the mainframe, usage of the mainframe. But I wanted to use it for some other open source programs like Grafana or MongoDB, but you have to kind of translate one format to another. It would be great to have a common, format like JSON. So there was nothing like that in open source space in 2000. So we started with it, to have a proof of concept of converting from traditional RMF format to JSON format, and then help people to use more frequently with this data format.
Perfect. Talk a bit about the community around ZEBRA. Also, when we look at the mainframe project, there are developers who have been there around for a very long time, and then we are also attracting new developers with project like Zowe. So talk a bit about the community around it, and what role are you playing? Because we also talk a lot about mentorship and mentees to get new folks and also help the seasoned folks experience pass on to the next generation.
So we see new generations coming to mainframe, even though they don't know all the history of mainframe. They understand basic computer architectures and use of the system. And this type of project, they can help onboard the newcomers, because we are changing the format of the traditional mainframe format to the newer format that used by many other recent open source programs, and they can really acquaint it with this new format and apply it to their knowledge, and then they can join to develop something new from it. And
with the mainframe people like myself who've been in the business for a long time, getting ready to retire and go do other things, we need to bring on this new type of generation of people, and they're not used to the traditional mainframe interfaces. So we thought that ZEBRA could really make a difference there because it's using things like JSON and so on that people coming into the industry today are familiar with coming out of their colleges and universities where they graduate from. And being able to use those tools with mainframe and still accomplish the same thing they need to do, understanding how well a system is performing, how well it is meeting its system level agreements, service level agreements. Using these kind of tools is perfect. It really is. So ZEBRA has caught on quite a bit with across the industry, and we're finding that some actual customers in the business that have to do this kind of work are grasping onto it for many of the same reasons. Zowe itself has opened up thousands of doors. It's been downloaded all over the world, and ZEBRA being a project really falling underneath it. Zowe is gaining momentum because of that, because it's hitched itself to that fast-moving wagon,
Right. If we just look at when you're using your Vicom Infinity hat, how are you folks also leveraging it, taking advantage of the project, or integrating with some of it?
Well, we are leveraging it by when we speak with our clients now and telling them of the availability of this and letting them try it and see it for themselves, it helps them feel better about how the mainframe can continue on from where it is today, from the generations that are also at their locations getting ready to retire and go do other things than working on systems, you know. So it helps show that there is a lot of a bright future to the mainframe, with being able to use this modern tooling, you know.
Is there any specific, Vicom Infinity technology, like it could be, Vicom Infinity voice assistant or something else that is, leveraging or, taking advantage of it?
We are taking advantage of it. We don't see, our company does not use the mainframe to run production workload. We use our mainframe to do proof of concepts, proof of technologies, test and try things out with IBM and other partners of ours. And then once we get our hands around it, evaluate it, and understand it, then we try to take that forward out to our clients. So that's how we leverage it. We leverage it for that purpose, not to use it because we want to replace old traditional types of tooling, because we are familiar with the traditional kind of tooling. We've been in this business for, since the early 90s. And, myself, I'll be celebrating my 50th year. I graduated from college in '73, and 2023 will be 50 years.
Are you sure?
You don't look
Not
that-
20
yeah,
years?
yeah. I think you have just dyed your hair to look more gray. But
Well,
yeah.
thank you. I got to come on this session more often with those compliments. Thank you so much.
If I go back to you and ask about what kind of adoption you're seeing, what kind of integration you're seeing of ZEBRA.
Right. So one of the reasons I came here in the event, Open Mainframe Summit, is to share those use cases. And the biggest use cases we see is that plugging in the ZEBRA API into Grafana, which is another great open source project that let people use graphics in time series database, such as Prometheus, plugging into Grafana and show the nice graphs. So tomorrow we're going to have a system programmer from Kyndryl that he used ZEBRA for his customers' production system to monitor the system's health in multiple levels of system health check, and then shows nice graphics and also helps them to kind of manage those systems in real time.
Excellent. You touched upon that about the perception of that. How did the community perceive ZEBRA? And I would love to hear from you and both of you.
I thought it was pretty well. Didn't you, Alex?
Yeah.
I thought it was perceived very well.
So when Zowe project started, it was aimed at developers so that they can develop mainframe application easier and attract the new developers. We also wanted to come from a system programmer's view where, when you manage the system, what are the things that we can help? So I think, eventually, we can be part of the main Zowe project where API mediation layer can have a metrics services that can show all the graphs within Zowe desktop. That'd be really great. And also have other software vendors, ISVs, adopt those APIs and embed it into their software to take advantage of the ZEBRA core capabilities.
Excellent. This question is more or less like, because what COVID taught us was not to talk too much. How do you see this project in 2 to 5 years from now? But what I do want to ask more realistically is based on, the appreciation the project is getting from the community. Where do you see the project? Because sometimes a project starts with one set of problems in mind, but when the adoption grows, it starts, expanding beyond those use cases and help, with other areas also. So what kind of scope do you see of the project? Where do you see the project in a couple of years from now?
So we need more contributors in this ZEBRA community of developers and contributors like Len and Vicom Infinity and control. I think if we have more developers, then we can add more function to it and have a native RMF parser, not depend upon another part of paid software, so that we can be more functional and then give more freedom to users to manipulate and then massage the data for their own way.
What's going to happen is the more ZEBRA gets out there, the more people getting to use it and so on. We'll see things that we don't even think about right now or to even fathom at all. So already we've learned from working with some of the clients like Kyndryl, who has been playing with it for a while now. Heck, they've thought of things that, oh wow, that's a great idea. Or because the more you expose it, the more eyes and hands you get working with it, it's going to take off. And the hardest part of the job is getting to these people. Reaching. COVID really made it hard. But now that we're at places like here at the Open Mainframe Project Summit and getting face-to-face meetings and reacquainting ourselves with old friends and meeting new ones, that's really what makes the difference. And that's what open source and community is all about. And I'm so glad that it's turned out to be such a great environment here. We had a lot of people on virtually. We had a lot of people here in person. Some of those that are using it, and when they're sitting there hearing what they're doing, oh, I didn't know you were doing that. It's just. It's not about the technology as much as it is about the people. It really is.
And sometimes the user community that blows your mind, that they look at the project and they use the creators have never even imagined that this. Look at Linux kernel. Look at the Kubernetes.
Think about
Linux servers never thought about that it will be literally powering the world and used literally everywhere.
Linux is everywhere now.
But Linus, all he wanted was he had his own view, but the users just took it to so the reach out to the users is the most important thing. And yes, these events are bringing it back again. So Alex, and then thank you so much for taking time out
today
and talking to me.
Thank you.
And as there are more updates with the project, I would love to have you folks back on the show so we can continue to talk about it and get some exciting use cases also to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hopefully we can have better story next time.
Yeah, it's getting better. Just think about, Alex, where it was just a year ago compared to today. It's amazing.
Yep.
Just in a year.
Yeah, no, I like what you said, better story, because this is already a great story,
right?
Yeah.
And you're like competing with yourself, better story next time. So that's incredible. And once again, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for having us.
Thank you for your time.
It's always a pleasure to work with Alex.
Same here. Thank you. It was great talking to you.